Welcome back, everyone. I got a doozy for you this time. I'll be responding and examining a borderline retarded article titled, Experts Warn About Rising Extremism in Gaming by Peter Allen Clark. I'm going to rip this thing to shreds. So, just to start things off, this article is geared towards convincing you that the gaming community has some dangerous level of right-wing extremism that is also violent in nature. How do they prove this startling accusation, you might be wondering? Well, they don't. But they pretend that they do, which is all that matters to liberals. All they need to do is make an outrageous claim, never back that claim up with hard evidence, and simply walk away from it. Well, not this time, Peter. I won't let this propaganda go unchallenged. So let's start off with the first quote. And I quote, "A December 2021 report from the Extremism and Gaming Research Network found that innovative efforts to prevent and counter violent extremism in gaming spaces are nearly undetectable." I wonder why they're so undetectable. Probably because they don't exist, but I digress. The first question you should be asking is, how does Peter define violent extremism in gaming? You'll notice that, as I continue with this article, that term is never defined or clarified. It's simply repeated, but never explained. Here's another quote. "Extremism in games is a growing threat," Alex Newhouse, the deputy director at the Center on Terrorism, Extremism, and Counterterrorism, said in a games developers conference talk last month. Again, they're repeating these shocking words, these shocking claims, but they never fully explain it. This next quote is where things get a little bit more interesting. In games stretching from military shooters like Call of Duty to open creative environments like Roblox, extremist groups spread abusive messages and foster relationships. Well, what kind of abuse? They don't say. But I can point out some abuses that they should be dealing with. Hey, Peter, you feel like talking about these abuses in Roblox? Nah, I didn't think so. The idiotic sentiments continue with this quote. Newhouse said it was relatively easy to find signs of neo-Nazi and far-right fascist groups on Roblox. Right? Because that's what you should be focusing on. Discord, games, Marketplace, Steam, and other platforms. So you're finding political groups that you don't agree with, but will completely ignore the other problems on Roblox. That is so typical of you liberals. As I've said numerous times before, they sit upon their ivory towers and caterwaul their discontentment with anyone who is 1 nanometer to the right of center in the political spectrum, with extreme prejudice, but will be suddenly stricken with blindness in concerns with child endangerment. It makes you think, doesn't it? Makes that old noggin jogging. This next quote is their best argument for their evidence, and I can't wait to show how utterly ridiculous it is. I quote, "A 2019 report from the Anti-Defamation League." The ADL, we all know how unbiased and non-politically motivated the ADL are, don't we, folks? Okay, I'm sorry. The ADL found that 53% of online multiplayer game players who experience harassment believe they were targeted because of their race, ethnicity, religion, ability, gender, or sexual orientation. The same report found that almost 1 in 4 players, 23%, said that they have been exposed to discussions about white supremacist ideology. Oh my God. Now, here are a few questions. Number 1, can these people define white supremacist ideology, or are they referring to anyone who voted for Trump? How about how big is that 23% number they plop down all authoritatively? Well, the answer to the second question is in the next quote. And I quote, "While it may be a small number of players compared to the billions of players, they are very hardened, very influential, very dangerous group of people who are living their lives in these gaming spaces with little to no consequences to their actions or behaviors. Oh my god. So, the first half of this quote admits that it's a tiny minority percentage of the whole of the people who can be easily written off as shitposters. Then they continue to discredit themselves by admitting that they want consequences for freedom of speech in gaming. But the more important aspect to note here is something I mentioned before in my Rings of Power video, which is this. They don't want you to be happy in fictional places, in virtual places. Not only do these people want to dictate every move in your life within the real world, but they also want to control your fictional life as well. These people are the living embodiment of Pinky in the Brain. These people are literal dictators. But let's continue. To cohort, gaming's extremism problem has grown to its imposing size because of ignorance, discomfort about the topic, and an unwillingness to understand the threat. What threat? I don't think it's been recognized as something important, worth their time, worth their money, worth their effort, she said. Well, that's the first statement in this dumpster fire of an article that I agree with. This isn't important. What gamers have to say in-game about politics is not important at all. In fact, I would say it's pretty irrelevant. Alright, so let's wrap up this article with this quote. Because of the swift, proactive steps we take, extremism content is extremely rare on our platform, and therefore, for the vast majority of the Roblox community who do not seek out such content, it is very unlikely they would be exposed to it. Yeah, unless it's child endangerment. Isn't that right? These people are walking contradictions in every sense of the term. They whimper and wail at what they don't like, and outright ignore the true problems on their platforms. Last, but certainly not least, here's this quote. We abhor extremist ideologies and have zero tolerance for extremist content of any kind on Roblox. Remy Mellon, Vice President of Trust and Safety Operations at Roblox, said it. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's rich. But let me show you this. Thanks to Gab, and Gab's extension called the Center, I'm able to say whatever I want, whenever I want, and there's nothing Remy Mellon can do about it. How about this extremism, guys? How do you like that, Remy? You like that extremism? I like it. I like it a lot. Well, that's all the time I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed it or thought it was informative. Do me a solid and roundhouse kick that subscribe button in the jaw for me. Thanks. Until next time, friends. Have fun.